It's your son's birthday, and he's been begging you for one thing, the PS5 Pro, and you buy it for him even though it's terribly priced and looks like a frozen milk carton. He sits down to play it, and he's met with a screen asking for even more money, and then he's had enough.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell.
Today's build costs just as much as the PS5 Pro, absolutely destroys it in performance and aesthetics, and it's so easy to do that your long hairy thumb can do it.
What? Bro, I'm out, man.
Get your head out of the gutter, long hairy thumper rabbit. Alright, now this ain't your grandpappy's walk into Best Buy, buy the parts off the shelf type of build. Oh no, mate, my rabbit has dedicated his entire life and money on going online and searching for the best deal that the internet can offer. In order to find all his parts, my rabbit has to use the ear method. We start off on eBay, where we buy most of our CPUs from. Get out! Just set your filter to newly listed, and that's how you find the best deals on CPUs. Now today we're going with the Ryzen 5 7500F. It has 6 cores, 12 threads, Zen 4, AM5 socket, up to 5 GHz, 32 MB of L3 cache, so it's pretty much like a 7600, just a bit worse. Next up in the ear method is the A. A stands for Amazon. I always try to use Amazon where possible, especially in coolers, SSDs, power supplies, and motherboards. Now the motherboard that we're using today for this build is the ASRock B650 Pro RS Wi-Fi, which is a great motherboard. We got it off of eBay for $90. It comes with everything you would need: built-in I/O shield, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB-C, 2 M.2 slots, whatever you need, this board has it. Finally, we're on to the R in the ear method. Now the R stands for robbing. This rabbit always likes to rob old grandmas on Facebook.
Police department, third floor! Police department, third floor!
No, calm down, police. What I mean isn't to rob someone for a great deal. If you're flipping PCs, you want at least one good deal to secure that profit and make that moolah. Alright, ladies and gents, get your parts ready and let's build. First, get the CPU. Line it up with the corner on the motherboard and the corner on the CPU. Then slot the CPU into the socket. Then push the bad boy down. It will require way more force than anticipated. Next, get your RAM. We have a kit of Team Groove 32GB DDR5 7200 MHz, which is way overkill for an AM5. You don't need that much speed. Get your RAM, shove it into the RAM slots with the notches alive, push it down until you hear a click. Next, we're going to install our SSD in this build. We went with the Oracle E5000. It's just some random SSD that went on sale for $51. It's Gen 4, 5000 MB read and write speed, so it'll work just fine for our build. My tip for you is just get any M.2 SSD that is the generation of your motherboard and it is the cheapest. First off, we're going to take our heatsink off. And then we're just going to slot the SSD just like that. Now put the heatsink back on. And then Robert is your uncle. What? Alright, perfect. Next we're going to install our CPU cooler. First we're going to place these standoffs on these little holes, just like this. Then put on these metal brackets and start screwing them down. Now we're gonna throw on some thermal paste onto the CPU. Don't judge me.
You suck!
Now go ahead and put your CPU cooler onto the brackets. Do not waste your money on an AIO unless you're cooling a 14900K. This will keep our CPU chillier than Antarctica, and it's only $19. Now screw in the CPU cooler little by little on each screw to make sure the thermal paste will spread properly. If you don't, then you're just going to get all the thermal paste on one side and your CPU won't be cooled properly. Next we're going to clip the CPU fan onto the CPU cooler. Do it like I do and you should be golden. Next, we're going to test everything to make sure it posts, because there's nothing worse than building your entire PC just to find out that it doesn't work. Our power supply for today is the Modtech APX 750 watt. It's C tier on the power supply tier list, $55 on Amazon, and definitely won't explode. And here's our GPU, the MSI Supreme X3080. It has 10 gigs of VRAM, and in this market we got it for an absolute steal of $320 off of Facebook Marketplace. Now let's stick the GPU into the slot with one hand until we hear a click. Now let's plug in all our cables. First we have the 24 pin, then the CPU power, and lastly the GPU. Now let's plug our power supply in.
You suck!
Boring.
We're gonna short the power switch. Just grab something metal and touch the front panel pins. And then just plug in your HDMI cable. We can see the RGB on the fan spin to life. And there we go, we got a post. For today's case we're building it is a DIY PC ARGB N1. I've used it multiple times. It's around $60 on Newegg, has USB-C and USB 3.0, comes with 3 RGB fans, and looks great overall. Now when you're building in this case, you're going to need to flip the fans to the other side because they're set to exhaust by default. I've already done this. Just take the screws out, flip the fans, and screw them back in. What I'm doing right now is taking the motherboard standoffs and putting them into the right spot for my motherboard. You might also have to do this, so just follow along what I'm doing. Just grab some pliers and twist it off and put it into the right little hole. Now just throw the motherboard into the case with no regard for human life. Next we're going to screw the motherboard into the case standoffs just like this. Next we're going to plug in all our motherboard cables. If you want a tutorial, let me know in the comments. I'll do one next video if you want one. Now install the power supply, shove it into the back, making sure the fan is pointing downwards or your uncle will throw an egg at your dog. Now you can screw in the power supply screws just like this. And aunt Susan, maybe your aunt. Alright, home stretch now. Get your cable extensions. We got these off of Amazon for just $18. Grab the cheapest kit on there and you should be golden. Next, plug in your SATA cable to SATA power for the fans. Now plug in your 24-pin motherboard cable just like this until you hear a click. Then plug in your CPU power cable to the connector at the back of the board until you hear a click. It might be a bit difficult because of the space of the case. Now that we have all our cables plugged in, we need to rip out the PCIe brackets. I already took one out just to make sure. Be careful not to hit the motherboard. Now we're going to insert the GPU into the top PCIe slot with one hand. Of course, it should click in, and there you go. I just screw the GPU into the case to make sure there's no GPU sag, and there we go. Then plug in your 3 8-pin cables into the GPU just like this. And now it's time for the dreaded cable management. Luckily for me, I'm great at it. Just watching you learn a lot. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the actual cable management result. And the build is done. Ain't she an absolute beauty? Now, the moment of truth. Will it turn on? Have I failed? Well, let's find out. There we go, look at that RGB on the 3080. Looks phenomenal. Looks like an RGB puke spew. And honestly, I think it looks great. And there we go, we got a post. Let me know down in the comments of what y'all think about the build. Oh, and I also added this GPU sag bracket because I had one on hand and it was only $7 more. Now the PC looks great. I would have added more fans, but I didn't tell y'all that the first CPU that I bought for this build was actually dead, so that added $60 to our cost. Anyway, the total came out to $836, which is above what the PS5 Pro cost, but if the Ryzen 5 7600 wasn't dead, the cost would have been $776, so it's still over the PS5 Pro, but if you include everything else you have to buy for the PS5 to play online, it adds up. If you're wondering why the case is $0, it's because I returned a bent one and they said to keep the case and my money, so I just priced the normal one at the normal price and this one at $0. And here are a few pictures of the PC when it's fully completed. Alrighty, now it's time for benchmarks. First up is Fortnite at 1080p Pro settings. Fortnite kids absolutely love this game, so it will sell better if we put the benchmarks there. Now right here, I just killed an absolute bot and get a free restock on that. And here's my horrible free building attempt. And I spent some time driving around in a car like an absolute maniac. And then I just shoot a guy in the bush and somehow I managed to fall out of my box and died of fall damage. But anyway, we averaged 193 FPS on 1080p Pro settings. Alright, next up we have Fortnite 1080p Performance Mode. Now we start off this game by looting up and shooting this weird Star Wars plane down and then killing the guy inside the plane. Then I decided to get in the Star Wars plane myself and fly around shooting stuff randomly. Then I wiped that guy out with E. And of course we gotta hit him with that emote. Then I almost died killing that guy. But we're all good and just heal up. And then I absolutely destroy that guy while piecing him up. Then this weird guy, while I'm sitting behind a cone, wipes me out with a sniper. Like, come on, mate. We averaged 310 FPS. Next up we have Black Ops 6. I tested it at 1080p extreme with DLSS quality and we averaged 146 FPS. Here I got just a few kills. Then we win the game and I get second place on Lever with my absolutely horrendous skills. Then we have Apex Legends. We played it on 1080p with the highest settings possible and we averaged 287 FPS. Now, to be honest, I hate this game. I have no clue how people actually enjoy it, but here's some footage of me playing it. And then when I'm not paying attention, I just die. Now we have Marvel Rivals, and again, I have no clue how people actually enjoy this game. I absolutely despise it. You just run around spamming left. But anyway, we played at 1080p Ultra and we got 102 FPS, so here's a bit of gameplay footage. Finally, we have Rocket League. Now, I actually enjoy this game a bit, so we played it at 1080p high settings, and we got a crazy 627 FPS. We start off driving around, hitting the ball as the other team misses a shot. Then I take a shot and miss. Then my teammate passes and I get blocked. Finally, we score a goal. Then we score another goal with this team play. Then I hit a demo and the ball goes into our net and we lose the game.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar.
Alright, now it's time to flip this PC. To find our approximate cost, I usually go on Java.gg and find similar PCs and list it at a similar price. The only build here is this one, which has the same specs and it's priced at $2,280. So I'm going to start on Facebook at $1,275 and see how it does. Now, even though it's priced at that, after 2 weeks of lowering the price to $2,225 and then to $1,150, it still has not sold, even with the description being great with features, benchmarks. So next video I will update y'all, but for now, here's a few messages that we got. Now right here we have a total of 6 messages. The first guy on the left offered me $750, so I politely declined that and told him if he has a budget I could build him a PC, but he has not replied. Now the next person messaged me earlier on the very right image, and he left me on red both times. So frick you, buddy. Then we have this one guy that my friend referred over to me, but his stepmom died, so it might be a while before he can buy it, so RIP. Then we have this guy that offered me 1,075, but I declined and counter offered with 1,150 a few days later. But I still haven't gotten a reply. And finally we have this guy who didn't even read my messages at all. So sadly we have failed, but in the next video I will deliver an update to y'all to see if it sells. But our total cost was $836. Now this is way over the PS5 Pro, but since we bought a dead CPU and you don't count that, and the other stuff that you have to buy for the PS5 Pro, it all adds up. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like and sub to the channel. This is my first PC flipping video, so if you watched to the end, thank you so much. I'm gonna focus on continuing this PC flipping series. I'm also pretty new to creating content, so if anyone has any tips or would have anything to let me know about, type it down in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I'm gonna go give my rabbit some trees. Have a good day. Me and the rabbit love you, and now get the hell out of here!